but north of Sydney. It detailed how her husband had told her not to write the second letter, which was interesting. But, that she shouldn't have written the second letter, and that I wasn't going to be her friend, and that we weren't meant to be together, and all this kind of stuff. Where it's like, you know, we're really not, because I am married, and she was 19, which was creepy. Yes?
You might have said this in a previous con or whatever. How did you get your start in voice acting?
Yes. My start in voice acting. Well, the most important word in the term voice acting is acting. And I've been acting since I was 12. I started acting in grade school. I went to public school. Started acting, acted all the way up through high school, all the way up through college, and when I was 24, I got an agent. And to supplement the income I was not making as an actor, I worked at a pizza joint. And at 1 in the morning one night, while I was coming back, or while I had come back after a delivery, the girl who played Balma at the time, who I was in college theater with, walked in, and she had had a few hundred beers. And she handed me a phone number, and she's like, "Listen, I'm doing this cartoon thing, and you should really give this guy a call, because I think you'd be fantastic at it. You just gotta get an audition." I'm like, "Great, thank you. I need all the work I can get." So I got the number, I called him up. It was Chris Sabat, and he was directing. He wasn't auditioning anything at the time. And he said, "Yeah, sure, come in for an audition." So I went in and auditioned, did fine. I knew what Dragon Ball Z was, because I've always known what anime is. I've been watching it since I was 5. I started with Star Blazers in preschool. But he tell him I said that. I didn't know what was going to happen. You know, because it was a blind audition. There was no roles being cast. So 3 weeks later, I get a frantic phone call from him, and he's like, "Hey, listen, I really need you to come back in. Can you come back in like today or tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yeah, come back in today." So I flew down there, and he's like, "We really cannot find anybody to play this role. Can you try to do a specific kind of voice?" And so he directed me, and it was the role of Trunks. And he directed me into the voice that he wanted, and he's like, that sounds solid. And I think by the time I got home that night, he had called me and cast me. And I was voicing Trunks a day or two later. And that was how I started.
So what would you say to someone if they wanted to get a start in voice acting?
I would say make sure that you have another job, because it pays horribly. But seriously, I say this to everybody, that if you want to make a living in voice acting, which there's a good living to be made in voice acting, but the living is not in anime. I make a living as a voice actor. Actually, I make a living as an actor. A lot of my income comes from voice acting, but it's not anime specifically. It's voice acting generally. Most of my income comes from other voice work that you guys will never hear. Because, you know, what's that?
Like what?
Like commercials that aren't in your region, or industrial videos that are specifically internal to a company, or web videos for those companies. There's so much audio that needs to be recorded in the world all the time. I'm trying to get cast with that voice a whole lot, but it sounds too forced when I do it. Like, here's an example. Like, I'll do it so you can know why I don't get cast. So, in a world where a man loves a woman, but that woman doesn't love him.
Straight out of Johnny Test.
They're going to fall in love, but fall out of love, and then fight aliens. do that voice, like to do that kind of a voice for a movie trailer, it has to sound as natural as the voice you're hearing out of my mouth right now. It has to sound comforting to the audience. You know, like get Chris Sabat to do it, and you'll hear the difference between those two. So yeah, I wish I could do that voice. Sure, yeah. Thank you, thank you. I got a 500 here. Hi, how you doing, man?
50 points for Gryffindor.
What do you think would happen if Canada and America was alone on Earth and had to fight a zombie apocalypse?
We are talking about the characters from Italia, right? Canada would die. Instead. Did you say why? It's Canada.
Survive the cold!
I'm saying,
they couldn't make it up here. They have no body heat.
I know. Guys, I was asked a question. I'm giving you an honest answer. My answer is Canada would die instantly, and America would die not soon thereafter. No, I'm not.
Don't you think they go
No,
into
I'm
the
not.
annoying one first?
No, I'm not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. I'm America. America would be too busy reveling in the fact that he is the hero. Here's something that you should check out. There are 2 websites out there that are awesome. Even for me, who's been doing this for a long time, I still don't get any work off of these 2 websites that I'm going to mention. But they're good resources to kind of know the vast marketplace that is voiceover. Voice123.com and voices.com. Check those out and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Will do. Thank you very much.
You got it. My pleasure. Yes!
What's your least favorite TV show?
My least favorite TV show?
Can we do anime and in general on that?
Yeah, of course we can. In anime, my least favorite anime, that would be creeping back into that chair. My least favorite anime, that would be hard because I don't watch anime I don't like. In fact, the only anime that I really do watch is the anime that I'm participating in to one degree or another, and I like all that stuff, you know. Not so crazy about Save Me a Lollipop. Anybody ever watch that one? Manga's good. Manga's good. The show makes me tired. I'll just say that. Even when I was doing it, I'm like, the show is exhausting me. And when I ended up watching it, maybe it's because it made me so tired to do it that when I ended up watching the show, I'm like, I can't even watch this. It makes me tired to watch. So I'll give that as the answer. Not that I think it's a bad show, but it just exhausts me. My least favorite TV show, somebody's going to have to help me out on this dude's name. Who's that guy that has that show on television right now that my wife watches? He's, what's that?
Very helpful.
Nate Berkus. Does anybody know this guy? That's why. This guy drives me nuts. He was like Oprah's interior designer, and now he's got his own show. And he's like, I'm gonna help you turn this chair into something that's so much better than this chair. Look, it's now a chair covered in fabric. Isn't that great? I come home, my wife's watching it, and she's like, you want to sit down and watch TV? And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't. I'd rather cut my hand off than watch any more Nate effing Berkus. Anyway. Okay, so yes, Gary.
Hello.
Hello.
So you mentioned earlier you're a classically trained actor. You've been working since you were 12, and so on and so forth. I was wondering, can you do that voice